Nvidia stock is almost up 6% on the day after a lot of AI news from trade deals with the UAE in the AI market, from the AI diffusion update, and so much more that I think investors are not going to want to miss. And this is going to be the best channel you're going to learn anything about the AI space. So make sure to hit the thumbs up and make sure to hit the subscribe button. Let's get started.
I want to thank the Motley Fool for sponsoring this video, and check out fool.com/Jose for the 10 best stocks to buy now. With that link, you get a promotional offer for the subscription service. Now, let's continue with today's episode.
All right, so we can see the market is about to close in the next few minutes as I am recording, and Nvidia is sitting at that $129, almost $130 here, and the stock is up roughly 5.6%. We are seeing a lot of excitement for AI stocks. We can see AMD is also up about 4%, definitely no Nvidia at the moment, and we can see Broadcom was up about 4.8% as well. So I will probably be doing a video later on AMD and Broadcom, but if you are an investor of any of these two players, a lot what's happening today can be seen as bullish for these two companies as well. And the first thing I want to take a closer look at is an update to the AI diffusion rule. So for those that are not familiar, the AI diffusion rule was a rule that came in at the almost the last few weeks of the Biden administration, and it was kind of creating a three-tier system of who can get AI chips and what can happen from there. This is completely different from export restrictions to China. So those are two different entities and laws. At the moment, we still have a lot of export restrictions to China, but I will be sharing my thoughts on that on the future. But there are some changes to this tier diffusion law, and I will kind of post maybe really quick here an image of an update of what it means. Make sure to pause if you want to learn more about it before this update here. But here on May 12th, the Department of Commerce initiated a rescission of the Biden administration's AI diffusion rule, while announcing additional steps to strengthen export controls on semiconductors worldwide. The AI diffusion rule would have kind of undermined U.S. diplomatic relations with dozens of countries by downgrading them to second-tier status. And this was one of the biggest issues. It was creating kind of a tier system. And this tier system, you were able to see, who was our friends, who weren't our best friends, and who were kind of like okay associates. So it seems for diplomatic reasons they are kind of removing this, and I think this is going to be used. The AI chips in general are going to be used as a trading tool in the future. But the Trump administration will pursue a bold, inclusive strategy to American AI technology with trusted foreign countries around the world, while keeping the technology out of the hands of our adversaries. At the same time, we reject the Biden administration attempts to impose its own ill-conceived and counterproductive AI policy on the American people. Now, there are obviously a lot of talks right now about national security risk, and I do see 2 points of view. First, the first point of view in national security is the easiest way is to eliminate the ability for any countries to get AI chips. That automatically removes that threat, but that threat comes with a issue or an effect, because just like anything, anything affecting something creates a reciprocal effect out of it, and that is kind of an increased competition coming from companies in like Huawei in China. Now, the other kind of safety restriction or national safety security concern that investors should be thinking about is, sure, you can reduce the dependency of certain countries in the short term, but in the long term, what if you create this competition and now the world starts to build AI infrastructure on that competition instead of US companies, right? So I think the current administration, what they want to do is enforce and make sure that the world with this AI technology that's evolving at such a rapid pace is built on top of AI infrastructure. And I think that was one of the things that they did or mentioned, the removal of this AI diffusion rule. The thing that I thought was more important is in this guidance, they did mention that they are issuing guidance that using Huawei's Ascend chips anywhere in the world violates US export controls. And this is saying, look, if you're going to use other competitors, other technology outside of the United States, then we most likely won't be sending our AI chips to you. So I think this is actually very bullish for AI chip companies, because you're kind of already having the US government and many companies, people are going to say, how can the US government tell you what to do and what not to do. Obviously, they can't, but if you don't listen to them, we won't send you our chips. It's just kind of how it works. It's not like we're forcing you, but if you follow with it, you're going to get rewarded. And if you don't, you kind of will get pushed out. I think this is going to be an enough incentive to kind of push this threat of maybe Chinese competitors at the moment, and will continue to be an AI infrastructure built out by US companies. And I actually think that is really, really bullish for a lot of semiconductor companies. And in the long term, I think in regards to national security risk, building this AI infrastructure on US tech is also very, very strong. There are also kind of issuing guidance to US companies on how to protect supply chains against diversion tactics to make sure they're not going into the wrong hand. And they're also issuing guidance warning the public about potential consequences of allowing US AI chips to be used for training and inference of Chinese AI models. So they're trying to cover their bases, but I think this was extremely bullish, and it does eliminate a big threat of maybe Chinese competition for Nvidia and AI players. Now, before we go any further, guys, if you haven't hit the thumbs up or the subscribe button, make sure to do that. Make sure to do that. This is going to be the best place you're going to get any AI semiconductor news. But if you want more free semiconductor news on maybe all types of topics, make sure to check out whatthechip.com. I try to do daily newsletters about the semiconductor space. We talked about the trade wars. We talked about the Saudi kind of trade that's happening right now, and we talked about ARM's recent earnings. So make sure to check that out as well. Now, again, that was the first topic, but there's so much more big news impacting Nvidia right now. The next thing is today on May 13th, Saudi Arabia, President Donald Trump announced that these countries, Saudi Arabia and the United States, are going to have about a $600 billion commitment to invest in the United States, building economic ties that will endure for generations to come. Some of the things is Saudi Arabian Data Vault is moving forward with plans to invest $20 billion in AI data centers and energy infrastructure in the United States. Google, Data Vault, Oracle, Salesforce, AMD, and Uber are also committing to invest $80 billion in cutting-edge transformative technologies in both countries. Now, for those that are not familiar, previously, Saudi Arabia was part of a country that you could not send chips to. Now, with the current administration, they are having the opportunity to send chips to that market. So it opens up a nice amount of money inflow for AI chip companies. And this is another great reason why Nvidia, AMD, and all these other semiconductor players are up, because it pretty much opened up an opportunity. Not only did it open up an opportunity with Saudi and Arabian companies, but it also opens up the opportunity for data center companies in the United States to start building data centers all over the world in parts of the UAE as well, right? So, for example, Google, Oracle, big cloud service providers, I'm pretty sure they are going to be building some data centers in the future in Saudi Arabia and increasing the demand for AI chips. And some people might be wondering, Jose, doesn't this kind of negatively impact the demand of chips here in the United States? I don't think so, because the United States is still kind of limited in power to some extent. So you need to find other places with power as well. And there's also kind of a supply chain issue. So there is a limit of how many chips can go. So I don't think it's like one demand of chips going from one market to another. It's just increasing the total addressable market, in my opinion. So I see this very bullish, and I think this is the main reason the stock market is driving pretty strong. Now, in forms of this Saudi Arabia partnership, there was a lot of CEOs, and this pretty cool photo shoot from CNBC. We see Sam Altman, we see Lisa Su, Elon Musk, Jensen, Karp, from a lot of big companies, all kind of came up here and kind of showed their support to this platform. So it seems like the tech market was pretty excited. Again, I think this is very bullish, as not only do you get new countries, a new country and new companies like DataVault investing massively in data center solutions, you're also getting kind of that global exposure of our current US companies expanding their data center footprint, which means a lot more demand for NVIDIA solutions. And NVIDIA, one of the kind of other popular topics was NVIDIA is sending about 1,800 NVIDIA GB300 Grace Blackwell supercomputers to Humane, which is kind of a Saudi Arabia investment fund that's focusing on AI computing infrastructure. So for the first phase, it's about 18,000 NVIDIA GPUs. And eventually this is going to go to about a 500 megawatt system, which will in theory power several hundred thousands of NVIDIA GPU solutions in the next 5 years. And kind of NVIDIA has kind of talked about it in the past that for every gigawatt of data center capacity, that's approximately about 40 to 50 billion dollars in revenue for NVIDIA. So 500 megawatts is about half a gigawatt. So in theory, just this one project from this one company is an extra $20 billion in revenue for NVIDIA within the next 5 years. Remember, this is just one. There's so many more projects that are going to come out like this. And remember, NVIDIA solutions are kind of like a reoccurring revenue. Once you build one, you're going to need to keep advancing and advancing. So it creates these reoccurring solutions for the next AI chip in the future as well. Now, we also are seeing some massive investments elsewhere. AWS, another kind of cloud server provider, mentioned that they're going to be investing about $5 billion in Saudi Arabia and globally for things like AI training and talent development in the AI market. We're also hearing reports that OpenAI has way in having data center deals in UAE. And I think this is pretty interesting because just about a week ago, we saw that OpenAI was introducing OpenAI for countries, which was an ability to kind of start building data centers with the Stargate project in other parts of the world. This is just another way to increase the capital expenditure of the AI market and increase the demand for AI chips. So a lot of the things it's like this domino effect is really, really trickling down, and it is very bullish in my opinion for the semiconductor space. Now, there is an extremely bullish sentiment that Reuters a few hours ago mentioned that the US is letting UAE buy over 1 million advanced NVIDIA chips. Now, something like this would be super bullish, and it would be insane amount of billions and billions and billions and billions of dollars. Now, this is still unconfirmed, but I do believe with the ability of all these companies kind of building globally now, there is the opportunity for this to happen. So I do think that's all I have for now. There are some reports on AMD. I will be covering that in another episode. And one more thing that I wanted to kind of showcase to you, the viewers, is Ryan Peterson, who tends to own is the CEO of Flexport, which is kind of a freight shipping company. They mentioned that overnight, after the AI trade deal kind of paused or kind of continued here in the United States and China, they saw an increase of 35% in the first day. A big backlog is looming. Soon the ships will be sold out. So I think that's actually very bullish for the tech space. And this is someone who's kind of really in the front end. Someone asked, is everyone just front loading all their holiday season inventory? How bad are the shipping lanes about to get hit? And Ryan just kind of mentioned with yes. So this kind of shows some overall bullish trend, in my opinion, for consumer space as well. So I think that's all I have here for NVIDIA. A lot to cover, and I know it was probably a little bit longer, but NVIDIA almost finished the day at $130. And like I mentioned yesterday's episode, it is now back over $3 trillion market cap. And I do see us getting to maybe all-time highs by the end of this year. So very bullish for the semiconductor space. We have a lot of events. Next week, we have Computex, and the week after that, we have NVIDIA earnings. So make sure to stay tuned. Make sure to hit the thumbs up. Make sure to subscribe. And make sure to check out whatthechip.happened.com.